Everybody, and welcome to our evening of Italian cookery with the wonderful Theo Randall.
Thank you.
So, what are we cooking? I think that's the most important thing we need to find out today.
So I'm going to be making fresh pasta by hand. We're going to do a tagliatelle with English asparagus. I'm going to do it in a carbonara style with lovely pancetta and parmesan. Then I'm going to do a chicken dish, which is chicken legs roasted with potatoes, fennel, tomatoes, thyme and garlic, all baked in the oven. So it comes out, all the juice from the chicken goes to the potatoes. It tastes amazing.
What's the dolce? What's the dessert?
My favourite dessert, which is torta barozzi, which is the delicious chocolate and almond and coffee torte with a bit of cream, bit of icing sugar on top. Simple but really delicious.
So I think we should start sharing and start with the
fresh pasta.
Perfect.
So here we have 350 grams of Tipo 00 flour, 25 grams of fine semolina flour. Now this is the only recipe you need to make pasta. There's lots of recipes you can find online, but this one honestly is the best one. I'm just not going to say that, but it's 4 egg yolks,
it's yours.
2 whole eggs, 350 grams of Tipo 00 flour, and 25 grams of fine semolina flour. Now, lots of recipes add salt, add olive oil. Forget that, you don't need to do that. So the idea is to make a dough that's sort of quite rich in yolks. And what the yolks do is they dry the pasta really nicely, so you get this lovely consistency. It's almost like, it's like Play-Doh, it's like plasticine. And it sounds a bit odd, but that's kind of exactly what you want. That's that sort of texture. So we put the semolina flour and the Tipo 00 flour in the bowl, and then we're going to get our eggs, and we're just going to break them up, separate the yolks. I'm just going to do 2 whole eggs first, so we'll put that in there. And then I'm just going to whisk these all together. So we've got the eggs mixed in with the flour. The idea is this, you just play around with the dough, just feel the dough, thank you, and just make sure that it's not too dry or wet. So if you might need to add a little bit of water, don't worry, it's always going to be the sort of possibility you might need some water. So we'll just get the dough mixed together, and then this is where you get a bit sort of messy. I
love the fact that you've not actually done this on the work surface, because I think a lot of people, when they make pasta, traditionally do that, don't they?
They do, yeah. They end up, it makes your kitchen absolute pigsty.
Yeah, so
flour everywhere.
That's a bit of a balance. You're going to make a bit of a mess, but not too much.
So kind of, you just sort of, it's like making pastry. You just want to make sure the dough is kind of, it's sort of moist and sort of wet, but not too dry, not too wet. I know that sounds a bit silly, but I'm going to show you in a second once we get that kind of consistency. But it's like, as I said, it's like plasticine. So we just keep mushing that dough around. Make sure it's really nicely kneaded. So this is the point where you can knead by hand. It's so much better. If you do it in a machine, it can actually damage the machine, so you don't want to do that. But the dough should be really combined, so all that lovely egg and flour should be nicely mixed together.
Should I sprinkle it in?
A little bit of flour. I made a little bit too much water, so a little bit of flour.
You can play around with the dough, can't you, until you get the right consistency?
You have to play around with it, because the thing is the eggs can be slightly different sizes. You have medium-sized eggs, you have large eggs, so it's very important that you get the right consistency. So that's the right consistency, and I'm just going to start kneading that on the board. It needs just a little bit more flour, please.
A little bit more flour, we can do that.
And
shall I sprinkle it over the top for you?
Just a little bit, tiny bit. That's great. So that's kind of what we need. And then now we're going to just cut this bit of dough into half. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, it's what's called proving the pasta dough. Then just cut the dough in half and then push the dough down. Now here I've got some pasta roller connected to the machine. And I'm just going to make it as flat as I possibly can. And if you get me a little bit more of that flour again, sorry, I keep asking for the flour.
At least I'm being useful, that's what I like.
So let's put a nice amount
Bit of it
in
on there, okay.
Nice, that's it.
You want to go
there we
really,
go.
yeah.
There we go. And then pop the flour on, and then we're going to start pushing this through the machine. Make sure it's really flat.
So if people haven't got like the Smeg pasta machine here, which obviously it's on the roller in the widest setting, which for us is the setting 0.
Yeah.
How would you suggest that people actually make the dough?
Use a rolling pin.
Okay.
And to knead it by hand, like I did, and then just use a rolling pin and roll it onto like a wooden board. So like this chopping board's perfect. A little bit of flour just to keep the dough from sticking.
And is this what they call like an envelope fold, where you just keep folding it over and over?
Yeah, just keep folding it over. Just keep folding like this, putting it through, fold it over again. And what this is doing is it's basically kneading the pasta. It's making the pasta have an elasticity. And that's what's going to give the pasta really lovely texture. Because we want the pasta to have a bite. So when we actually cook the pasta, it should have almost like a sort of chewy texture. It shouldn't break up at all. It should be really elasticated. I'm going to show you in a second how elasticated it is. So we're getting somewhere with this pasta dough, so let's just have a look. So it was a bit kind of rough and wild at the beginning, but as you can see, it's now becoming really, smooth and silky. Just hold that pasta, gently pull it.
I like the fact that I'm doing something other than adding flour.
So you can see it's elasticating. Now, we haven't added that much flour. There's a little bit of flour there just to help us along. But I'm just going to pop this back, and then what I'm going to do is put this on a plate and cover it with some cling film. So let's just pop that into our little bag under here and just put that to one side. A little bit of flour there so it doesn't stick. And then we're going to start making up the start of our pasta dish, which is the tagliatelle carbonara. So I need some asparagus and some pancetta.
Okay, so we have some asparagus and pancetta, and these look absolutely amazing. I don't know if you can see on the camera here, but these are big beasts of asparagus. And it's the season, isn't it? And this is exactly why we've chosen to do this dish tonight with everybody.
So asparagus season has started. English asparagus season has started. Now you've got two kinds of asparagus here. You've got what they call select and you've got jumbo. That's probably not a very good example of jumbo. That's a better example of jumbo.
It's a big beast.
They grade the asparagus. You get the little fine one, which is called sprue. Then you have the select, and then you have extra select, and then you have jumbo. Then you have extra jumbo. So basically, the thicker the asparagus is. Now, a good little tip with the asparagus is to just break the ends to make sure that it's tender. Yeah, you can do that. And then where it breaks is where it's sort of tender. Right, now we're going to just chop this asparagus up, and we're going to do some pancetta as well. So the asparagus, just chop it in nice sort of long thin slices, like so. And that's going to go in the water with the tagliatelle. Now it's a very simple dish, because what we're doing is we're going to actually cook the tagliatelle in the water and with the asparagus at the same time. And then when we actually make the pasta together, we're going to mix up some parmesan and some egg yolks and a little bit of that pasta water, and then mix it all together. So you've got this lovely, what they call a crema. Now, so many recipes with carbonara always use cream, and that just doesn't exist in Italy.
It's kind of like the cheats way, isn't it, to create that really creamy consistency, but it's certainly not the authentic way.
It's not the authentic way, and so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to make a little crema, which is basically mixing the egg yolks and the parmesan together. Can we get a little bowl for this, please?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and so we'll put that to one side, and then pop that in there.
Put your pan on for you already.
My pan's on, so we've got a nice dry pan. So it's a non-stick pan. We're going to not put any oil in there. We're just going to add the sliced pancetta in. So just nice thin slice of pancetta, and you'll get this incredible crispy pancetta, because the pancetta's got such a great flavour, because it's salted and it's cured. It's slightly dry. Okay, so that's going to go in the pan as it is. Let's turn the heat up a bit. So just fry that off. So we want to get a nice bit of crispiness on there. So leave that to go. And I'll just let that cook gently. And so while that's cooking, I think we should start preparing the next dish, which is our chicken dish.
So the next dish, if you remember, is actually an Italian tray bake. And it's got all sorts of different ingredients, very synonymous with Italy, of course.
Yeah. So this one is going to be, it's chicken legs. We've got potatoes. We've got fennel, we've got tomatoes, we've got thyme, and we've got garlic. And basically, I'm going to chop the fennel and the potatoes up, mix them all together with olive oil and the thyme and the garlic. And then we're going to put that into a tray with the chicken legs on top, and then we're just going to roast it. Okay, so let's get all these lovely ingredients together. So I'm using Desiree here, but you could use any kind of waxy potato, like a Charlotte potato, or any kind of red potato would be good.
Yeah.
You can see this potato, it's quite it's very, very hard. It's not starchy at all.
No, there isn't anything at all. It's in fact quite dry.
It's quite dry, and that's what you want. And cut the potatoes with the skins on. The skins have got all the flavour. You don't need to cut the skins off.
So into nice little wedges, and that's of course so it cooks nice and evenly.
Yeah. So pop those in. And then we've got our fennel, heads of fennel. Keep the greens, they're always really nice in a sauce or just as a garnish. And then cut the fennel like you would an onion. So I'll just show you that again. So we've got the fennel, take the outer bits off, and then we just cut the fennel in half, and then we just cut into quarters or thirds, depending on the size of the fennel bulb. If you don't like fennel, then you could use onions, and I'd probably use like a red onion and quarter the red onion.
Got you.
Fennel has got, try fennel. It's got such an interesting flavour, and it's quite sort of, there's quite like natural sugar in there. So when you cook it, it kind of caramelizes, and you get this incredible flavour. So we've got the potatoes, we've got the fennel, we've got garlic cloves. And I've left the garlic whole. I haven't, you can peel it. The problem is if you roast it at quite a high temperature, if it hasn't got the outside skin on it, it can burn. So it's very important not to do
And am I right that it doesn't actually give you garlic breath if you roast it as well?
Yeah, it won't be as strong. No, if you have raw garlic, it's going to make your breath stink. You'll have no friends at all. So just going to get the thyme. Just going to pull the thyme off these branches like so. Don't use lemon thyme. I find lemon thyme's too strong. It
sounds good though.
Yeah, but it's got a kind of that lemon verbena which can overpower the dish, and just this sort of regular thyme is I just find it much nicer. Okay, so just mix that all together. So we've got the tomatoes in there. These are I've just got a nice variety of little tomatoes. We've got the little yellow and orange and yellow tomatoes. They're quite sweet. And then we're just going to pop the olive oil onto the tray, and then we're just going to give that a little bit of a rub, like so. And then I'm going to pop it there, and we're just going to pop this all into the tray. So we've got the potatoes, we've got the tomatoes, we've got the fennel, we've got the garlic, and then we've got our chicken. So the chicken, so I'll pop that there. The chicken, we're just going to get a bit more olive oil, and the olive oil, we're just going to sort of put some of the fresh thyme and some more salt and pepper, please.
More salt and pepper.
And then
it's like being in a professional kitchen, everybody. I feel like I want to say yes, chef.
Yeah, I'm bossing you around a bit.
No, I quite like being bossed.
Okay, and then we just get some of the fennel, pop the fennel on, the thyme.
Now, while you're doing that, Theo, we keep alluding to the fact that we're going to cook it slightly differently tonight, and the fact that, to get to this stage, you would probably want to blanch, etc. But we're going to be using a brand new oven that we've just launched, actually. It's really exciting. So if we're talking about quick midweek meals, this one is absolutely for you, because we don't actually have to do any of this. All we have to do is pop it into the oven. We're going to put it on this shelf position, so number 2.
So this oven is microwave as well?
Yeah, and it's cold, look, totally cold.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's microwave, it's steam, and it is oven. You can use it all independently, so you could use it as a steam oven if you wanted, you could use it a microwave on its own. But of course, what we are going to do today is actually have all of it working all together at the same time to cook this fabulous dish with just one dish in just 30 minutes.
Chicken's in the oven.
Chicken's in the oven.
Pancetta's cooked for the pasta. We've got the asparagus cut. Now we need to do is roll out the pasta.
Correct.
So,
yeah.
Let's get the pasta.
So the pasta's been resting. It's good to go. It's going to go through the roller much easier, because I think if we were to put it through the roller too early, what we'd often find is, of course, that it would spring back and it wouldn't cut as nicely, would it?
No, it wouldn't. And the nice thing is having the pasta just at this stage, because then you can really work the pasta to the right sort of thickness and consistency.
Right.
So we've got 2 bits of dough there. Let's put this one through.
You're going to knead it first. Just give it a little whisk.
I've done the kneading already, so I'm just going to put this through on the widest setting and just put it through a few times. And we're just going to fold it, keep going down.
Perfect.
I'm then going to do that like 3 or 4 times. And then we're going to go down 1 notch on the machine.
So keep making it thinner and thinner. And on this, you've got little markers, so you're just going down 1 number at a time.
Exactly. And I'm sort of pulling the pasta through. Feel that dough, it's quite silky, isn't it?
Yeah, but still quite thick.
But that's because of the egg yolk in there. So remember, we've got 4 egg yolks, 2 whole eggs,
yes,
and the flour. So you've got this very sort of silky texture, and that will allow the pasta to dry that much quicker.
Very
okay,
exciting.
so we've rolled out our pasta sheet. So that's our pasta sheet. When you can sort of see the silhouette of your hand behind the pasta, that's about the right thickness. Remember, we're making tagliatelle, so it can't be too thin. It should have a bit of a bite to it, so it shouldn't be too thin.
Anybody else ever find themselves not getting, oh, hang on a minute, I feel better now. Theo's just cut his pasta.
Always cut the pasta, because if you cut the pasta and put it through in one big piece, you'll end up with all these bits of pasta, and then when you cut it, all the pastas will stick together.
Yeah.
So it's very important to do nice, simple ones. Now, let's stop this machine. Now, we've also got a cutter. So here we have a fettuccine cutter. So we're going to pop that in, and then we're going to turn that on. And so what's happening, those rollers are just rolling away, and then we just pop this into the cutters.
And if you don't have a cutter, am I right, you can kind of take the dough and kind of roll it in like so, and then use a knife to manually cut it.
So
Is that how you do it?
can do exactly that. You put some semolina flour, and then you roll it up, and then you cut it with a knife, and then just cut thin pieces. Okay, so pasta's made.
And we're going to let that dry now.
We'll let that dry now, because
Okay.
it's what dry. We've got the asparagus cut, and we've got the pancetta for the carbonara.
Sure.
So what we need to do now is melt the chocolate for our torta barozzi, which is it's a dessert from Bologna, and it comes from a cafe called Cafe Barozzi. And what it is chocolate and butter. There's eggs and sugar and coffee and a bit of rum, just for good
coffee.
measure.
Good point. I'm going to put the coffee
I'll
machine
put the coffee
on.
machine on. And it's one of those desserts. It is so simple. When you make it, you think, oh, this is the most simplest dessert I've ever made. But actually, it's got so much flavour. We're just going to do little individual ones. So many chefs that burn chocolate. I mean, you put chocolate on the stove, they go off, go and do something else, and the flames get stuck on the side, and you end up with a chocolate coating.
Yeah, sure. We're going to use the microwave actually to melt our chocolate, which, to be honest, I always get a little bit nervous about, but I'm pretty confident with this one. I'm going to put the butter in as well.
Put the butter in, yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
So in terms of quantities, and I am just going to check my quantity list, we have in fact got 230 grams of chocolate, and we've got 150 grams of butter in this dish, and I'm going to pop it into this one here. So just on the middle shelf, because this microwave in here is pretty awesome, it does actually have a specific melting function. It's going to create a nice constant flow of microwaves, and therefore we're going to get a really good and easy result.
Okay, so I've got some egg yolks and I've got some egg whites.
I'm going to take the rum away so people can see what you're doing.
Take the rum away. And then we put the egg yolks in there and the sugar. So we've got some fine caster sugar in with the egg yolks. You know what we're going to do? We're basically going to mix that together until it goes nice and sort of creamy coloured.
And you've got a job for me as well, haven't you?
Well, you've got to whisk the egg whites.
I'm going to whisk the egg whites.
Give you those.
Oh.
Pop in there.
Got a bit of
There's
shell,
a bit of shell in there. Sorry about that.
Is there? Can't get the staff, can you? So I'm just going to use the eggshell. This is my little tip actually. Just use the eggshell to just scoop out any shell that might have made it into the white.
That's sort of blending nicely. You're going to do the egg whites there. The chocolate's melting. Let's see how the chocolate's doing.
And to what level do we need to whisk these?
You want to like soft peak, I would say.
Okay.
So look how quickly that's sort of almost sort of creamy already. And then we're going to get those whites, and then we've got our rum.
So we're going to take these to a nice stiff peak.
Nice soft peak.
So not like a meringue.
Not quite as hard as a meringue. A little bit under. We want to just sort of fold it in. So there we go. That's looking good. And then I think those whites are ready. So
That means I won.
Last blitz.
I'm not
like
competitive
that.
at all.
Okay, and then we've got our lovely egg yolks and sugar mixed together. And I'll give you that. And then we've got our chocolate. Do you want to get the chocolate out? Oh, I'll get the chocolate out. I've got the cloth.
Oh, wow.
Is that ready?
Yeah, looking
I
good.
think so it is.
Yeah.
So there we go. Can you see the chocolate and the butter all mixed nicely?
Beautifully melted.
And then we're going to mix that all together so it all kind of combines.
And the torta barozzi, in my mind, and I'm sorry if there's anybody from Italy that's on this, but it's kind of like a brownie, but a really posh brownie.
It is actually very much like a brownie. It's pretty much exactly the same ingredients. I mean, it's just got that little bit of sophistication with the coffee.
And it sounds so
the rum.
good when you say torta barozzi. I can't do it. So I'm not gonna
Barozzi.
even-
Okay.
But it's got nuts in it, haven't it? So I do need to do a job for you as well, and that is just to
So you need to put
blitz some nuts.
chop the almonds up.
And you don't necessarily have to use almonds, do you? You can use different nuts.
You
Or...
could use. I mean, I've had it made with hazelnuts, and it's absolutely delicious. But yeah, any kind of almonds or hazelnuts work fine.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so I've got some rum in here. We've got some coffee as well.
Okay.
Oh my
Oh, we've
God,
got a
is that
lot
in there?
of coffee.
Don't
I
want
was
that much
not paying
coffee.
attention.
Just want a little drop of coffee, just a little tick. That's enough.
Okay.
And then we're going to give a good old lick of rum.
Bit more. Go on, just a bit more.
Okay.
I do like rum, I'm not going to lie.
I know. Okay, so we're just going to mix that all together. So that the coffee, the rum, the chocolate, the almonds, they're all mixed together nicely. And then we're going to mix that in here. So I'm going to fold this all together.
Should it be rum, or could you use something like Tia Marie or Baileys?
You could use anything really. I mean, I probably wouldn't use Baileys, but I would.
Creamy, because it's creamy.
It's a bit creamy,
Okay.
but I think something. Yeah, we could move that. You could even use whiskey. Now, whiskey is absolutely
Ooh,
delicious with
yeah.
chocolate. So anything you've got really, any kind of liqueur. So can you just see that? So we've got this lovely sort of creamy consistency of the egg yolks, the sugar, the almonds, the chocolate, the coffee, the rum, all together. Now we're going to fold it in a little bit at a time.
And
So-
so you don't have to use a metal spoon?
No, I'm just using a spatula.
Oh, okay.
So just a little spatula, just fold that in, just so you keep that air in there. It's very important you keep the
Be
air.
gentle.
Be gentle.
Be
We've got
gentle.
time,
I
relax.
know, absolutely.
So let's just make sure we've got all that egg white has been.
And you can see it, can't you, in the bottom? If you've made, to make sure it's all mixed in, you shouldn't have any of that dark chocolate at the very
No,
bottom
exactly.
of the bowl.
And then with this lovely thing, we just pour it in. So pour what we need per one. Shut off there.
Okay, so I have put my oven on, and I am actually going to preheat this time. So with this one, we don't really need to worry about it preheating because it's chicken.
It's smelling good.
And it's getting hot, and yeah, it's smelling really good. But with this one, am I right that when you bake, you absolutely need to make sure that the oven is hot from the start off?
Always preheat your oven when you're baking. Always.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Very important.
And temperature-wise, we're working to 175. So if you are cooking along today, we're also using the top and bottom heat. So heat from the top, heat from the bottom. So just make sure you put those torta brocks in the middle of the oven to make sure you get the gradual transfer so it cooks nice and evenly. You could use the fan function, but I think when you've got that top and bottom, it's going to keep it really nice and moist and have that goo that we know from the brownie.
Exactly.
So, brilliant. Okay, so I've already put steam in this oven. I say steam. I put water in there, so it's good to go. So all we need to do is literally just pop the dishes into the oven and let the oven do its thing. Brilliant stuff. So the total cook time of this is only about 17 minutes. It doesn't take very, very long at all. So we can just leave that be and wait for the beep for it to finish.
Okay, so we've got our tagliatelle, we've got our asparagus. Pass me the asparagus.
Absolutely.
And the pancetta.
So
And those 2
asparagus.
eggs and the parmesan.
Yeah, we've got our asparagus. There you go.
There's the pancetta.
And finally, we've got our parmesan and eggs.
So I'm going to make a crema. So with the crema, we're going to mix 2 egg yolks in with the parmesan cheese. And we're going to add a little bit of pasta water. And then just mix the egg yolk and the parmesan together. Okay, so that's sort of the basis of it.
And is that what's going to create the creamy consistency that we know and love from a carbonara without the cream, like you said at the beginning?
The sauce is going to kind of cling on to that pasta. It's going to like hold onto the pasta. And as you've got the egg yolk in and there's no cream, it's going to cook that much quicker. You've got to be quite careful and you've got to be a bit bold, but you've got to be sort of confident with it. So we'll season this up. So a bit of salt, a bit of pepper.
So when you're seasoning something like this, you can't taste it. So how do you know how much to put in?
I just put in a little bit of salt. I've got the pancetta now. I'm conscious I add too much salt, but I just want a little bit in there.
Yep.
And then I'm just going to get some of this pasta water. You think, oh my God, it's going to turn to scrambled
Yeah.
eggs. Just put the hot water in and then just give it a good stir very quickly. And then that's what we're going to throw into the pasta once it's cooked. So that's
It's not cooking it, guys, at all.
that's what we need. So we'll just put that to one side. So we've got the eggs there. Now let's turn this up to the highest temperature. That asparagus is going to go into the water. This pasta's been sitting here and it's drying out, but it's not dried out enough. So I would make the pasta like an hour before and cut the pasta and let's let it sit. So I made this like an hour ago and you can see how dried it is. And that's what you want. That's going to give you that lovely al dente bite, you see? It's not
well, it is just literally kind of breaks up.
It breaks up, and that's why it's so important to dry the pasta. So
Would you ever freeze it though? At this
never
point?
at this stage.
'Cause
I freeze the dough base, but never freeze the actual dried pasta, the cut pasta. It'll
Right.
just stick together when it defrosts.
Okay, because
It'll
of the
be-
moisture in the freezer.
Exactly.
Got you.
So, well, no, when it defrosts, there's moisture in the pasta. It's going to just stick and go all sort of cloggy. So let's turn that back up again. Always cook pasta on a high heat.
You've got to have that nice rolling boil to keep it all separate.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then can you pass me that lovely little sieve?
Yeah.
And I'm going to get some of this pasta water
Okay.
and add that to this pan so that it keeps the pasta really nice and juicy. So just cook that. Now the pasta's going to take a couple of minutes to cook. Asparagus is in there, so the pasta's going to take on the flavour of the asparagus. Now, Italians are obsessed, and quite rightly so, about how pasta's cooked. It should have a bite. It should be chewy.
That's the al dente.
That's the al dente, to the tooth. It shouldn't be soft. It's like, you know, food's not all about flavour, it's also about texture.
Yeah.
And pasta is one thing that has to have texture, like risotto. Now, the key thing to do is to finish the pasta in the pan. So this is sort of half cooked. I'm going to take this out now, and I'm going to add it to the water here. Let's turn this heat up.
So it's not a case of is it floating at the top. It's with this dish particularly, it's all about just catching it just before it's cooked.
Yeah.
So literally just a minute or so.
Exactly. So get all that asparagus out. Now the thing is, you know, for instance, if you're cooking fresh pasta, takes like no time at all. This has taken a couple of minutes to cook. If you're cooking something like the classic things like spaghetti, for instance, like spaghetti tomato sauce, you've got a pan of tomato sauce in, you've got your spaghetti. You know, there's 3 of you for dinner. You put the whole packet in.
Yeah.
You cook it. It says 10 minutes on the packet. You put the egg timer on for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, you go over to the sink. You pour it into the colander. You get loads and loads of steam. You think, oh my God, I've got so much pasta in relation to sauce. Never cook pasta like that ever again.
So you're all about the weigh, aren't you?
Always weigh out the pasta. So the pasta's 125 grams per person. Have your tomato sauce. There's 3 people. It's going to be 2/3 of a packet. Your cupboard's going to be full of little packets of pasta.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Okay.
Take the pasta out with a pair of tongs. Cook it 3 minutes less than the packet says. Okay, so I've added the eggs and the parmesan. Take it off the heat, and then just work that egg and parmesan together with the asparagus.
Has anybody else ever wanted to be able to do that, especially with asparagus?
All right,
and
I'll do it with a spoon.
tagliatelle? I'd be covered in it
And
by
then
now.
just check the seasoning. It's probably going to need some salt and pepper. It is.
Yep.
So a bit of salt and pepper. Take it off the heat. Don't have it on the heat. If you have it on the heat, it'll turn to scrambled eggs.
Okay.
So black pepper. Now this is what this is sort of, you need to have that pasta water always on. So you add that little bit of pasta
I'm
water.
glad I didn't take that
just
away.
to keep it really nice and juicy. And then again, give a nice toss. And then just keep that nice, wet and juicy. I'm going to pop a little bit more pasta water in there. Just keep that to one side. So all those flavours of the asparagus, the eggs and the parmesan will just cook nicely. I'm going to turn that heat right down. Let's get the pasta ready. So
which one do you want?
that one there.
That one?
And we're just going to give that a toss. So that's beautiful tagliatelle. We're just going to make sure it's not sticking together. There we go. And then put the asparagus on top. And here's the pancetta. So this is a sort of, you know, optional extra, as they say, but it does make a lovely difference because you get that lovely saltiness on top of the
and it creates
asparagus.
the perfect stack, the colour contrast.
I'm salivating. I mean, this really is. Anyway, so then we're going to just do some of that lovely parmesan on top of the tagliatelle. So there we have the tagliatelle with the English asparagus, pancetta and parmesan. So that's one of our dishes. And then let's have a look at the chicken. That's got to be ready soon. I think we are probably about time to take it out. So let's pop that on the tray. So as you can see, there's all this lovely juice in the pan.
Give that top
And
away.
that's just going to reduce down, make a lovely kind of sort of syrupy sauce to go on top. But those potatoes and the fennel smell amazing. So let's go all the way. And that chicken, you can see it's crispy.
You can hear it.
Yeah, if you can have sound food vision, then it's crispy skin.
It's
And the
got some
potatoes
nice
are
colour,
soft and lovely bit of colour on them. And then this sauce is going to make a real difference. Put the chicken to one side, and then we're going to pop these potatoes and fennel on the bottom of the tray.
Wow.
All those tomatoes have gone really soft and squidgy, and then just going to hold that tray so it doesn't
Slide away.
slide away. But yeah, there's lots in there. I'm salivating the thought of this. Let's put the chicken on. So we put the chicken nicely onto a lovely, and then I'm just going to get this sauce, give that a little shake so it all becomes nicely emulsified, and then just give a spoon, just pour that sauce over each chicken leg, so it's just absorbing that beautiful sauce.
Shall I take one out and rest and let it cook in the
Go on,
dish?
let's get one out.
Let's
Come
be
on.
brave, let's
We've
be
got to
bold.
be brave. We're running out of time, but you know what? I'm sure everyone watching will want to see the cake. So a little bit of cream in the bottom, he says.
I
love
say
bit of
a chef's
cream
a
and
little bit of
cream
cream.
and chocolate. Okay, and then I'm going to break that off
Oh
like
wow,
that.
no, actually we might have just, you know,
And then I'm going to pop that on.
don't try this at home guys, let
There.
it cool.
Take the base off with a little knife, he says.
Oh, look at that.
And then I'm going to do that with asbestos hands.
Wow.
And then pop that in the tray. A little bit of icing sugar.
Yes, we have icing sugar.
There we go. And there we have
Torta
a
Barozzi.
hot torta barozzi. I think we should have a mouthful of
Oh my
this.
gosh, I need to find a
You need
spoon.
a spoon.
There's not going to be, the only spoon that's left is a wooden spoon. And I'm not going to disgrace myself in front of all you guys by tasting that. That is hot.
It's really hot,
Can you talk
but
now?
it's really good.
Looks absolutely delicious. Thank you so much,
My
Theo.
pleasure. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye.